turn.
Yambane. Yemi de oye, dobe namda shenlan chemarasho. Yende dende ne, jena zambe de je zemana, zanje chuji chola aduso. Rane mende la damni anaya. Sanje jena zoji janana, janjo bado dani jasamje, dagi chujin jibe sana. Tola benje sanje dovara sho, sanje chedan soji chanana, janjo bado dani jasa. Dagi chujin jibe sanamje, tola benje sanje dovara sho. Sanje chedan soji chanana, janjo bado dani jasamje. Dagi chujin jibe sanamje, tola benje sanje dovara sho. Tangana zenye zame dawa je bangwayi na beshe ne tenze kodam de la cha de la tonye nye je san de jo fe la chi chi sin de kan chi ten de wa chana be wa de de je zon la zo wa de zo je de la do sho s ta zo kulong kom de jarwa ka she da tanda shogbe tinda le de yan chung ka she le yo mara ne Tering drilling che amjo nya de ne shen la pendo ya ji chi de ne nga jangi yo samje ku no de shi na yo res.
So, as we should set the motivation. So some of you are here this morning, some of you weren't, but it will be similar. The motivation will be similar, that we're here to listen to this Dharma teaching for the benefit of others.
Da tering be yan ku ga be ya wo yin sam tan da din de mi da wa da tu ko lo jong da tu yu da sam da ju chong wa de be ta su ku ga be ya wo yin ten ga wo gong ba.
So now rejoice, feel that how wonderful it is to have this opportunity to hear this teachings, to learn about this Buddhist perspective of time and this understanding of this. So feel very fortunate to and rejoice in it.
Oh, we will do breathing exercise. Long breathing in, long breathing out, both nostrils. You need aware. Now I'm breathing in, now I'm breathing out. You need mm, aware, awareness.
Need to be, yeah, awareness.
Mm. 다들 옥추당 옥파당 하구다. 주어도다 봐 주어도다. 추당 파당 추당디 디 주어도 깨지 주어. 레다 남산다 하고 말들래. 거기 직버지 하고다. 추당 파당디 그리고 주어도 찍질래 찍도 깨지 아니 옥들라 산산라 ringbu chadu go yever san thungdu chadu go sto tinde gala ne ha ko wajin tadi ringbu di thungdu le jurs thungdu de ringbu le jurs go jodu da odi shena ya wer jodu ran shi ti thangbu khonan la ta je ne di jodu sheba chena ti ya go da de.
So now you want to start to think about how the breath changes. So, obviously you breathe in and out, but also the way you breathe changes, and it changes, it's continuously changing, but seeing that very subtle change is quite difficult. But what you can see is, that you recognize that breath is like it's disintegrating and being renewed. And it's also changing. Sometimes the breath's a bit longer, sometimes it's shorter. So start to look and start to understand this change in the breath. So just be aware of it.
다 우교도 되나시네. 스스 류교도 요데 단나 삼단에 하고요라.
So see how the breath changes, but also be aware of how the body changes. So recognize that as well.
류 주어도 되네. 다 가주어도 그래서 nga 세드랑 그래서 다디딘데 상당인 거랑 그래서 부구 충전 진네 로 파르마드네도 세정한 조직 되네. 여러 인지기 틀라슈뉴단 담마다 다여단 캠퍼스야 된데 여러 취된다 테네제다 에러 지라지도 어디에도 그 두스티 가르즈나가 르디 주어도네 나디 민디 주어도 거라다.
So now think about as your body changes, your eye changes along with it, right? Or you change along with it. So obviously, you go through the various stages of life, from being a baby to being a young child to being a teenager, teenager, then young adult, then middle aged, then old, and so forth, right? And each of these stages of life, and as you gradually change through this, then you change as well, like you as a person change as well. So start to think about how you progress and change as you go through these stages of life.
다디 nga 주어도 거요데. 야고지 셴베이나. 다디게 삼로 가르당 거래라데요. 다가 대원이 다 니람나 시르와. 무슨 베디나 니람 단데 베투나라 딜라고다 니람 밀란로단 되다 니람나 시르와. 알아서 메제세야데 니람나 시레샤 숨티자다 주어도에란시 축스를 레샤 서와 요기를 매부차도도 서와 디셈베이나 아주 삼로 가르당 거래 세나셰 마데베시로 세나셰 다디 메데 니람나 생각 가르지는 되나 쳐요 말아 아들라 탑시 삼로니로 뜻나 삼단다 베 탈로 망고 요레스라 당에들이 니 셰위나로 니 토라디 조 셰위나 아주 미다고 곰쟁 아주 미다고 곰 녜루 주어도 nga 주어도 nga 미다바 nga 따고 때마 nga 게지게지 주어도 곰바텔레디네 아주 가르치고 냠랭 가르치고라나 니게 네 미다고 곰사베 제일 삼로 가르당 거래라위나 니 삼다나 데제니 삼다나 야고요 팅도스.
So, as we were talking about yesterday, you should also view this life and all the experiences within it as if they were like a dream, or something like that. And recognize how quickly everything that you think is so solid real can completely change all of the time. But when you think about this impermanence and this constant change, it shouldn't generate fear, right? Like that's not the real practice of the Dharma. You shouldn't generate fear. It should develop two types of thinking, this impermanence meditation, recognizing the change in the eye, recognizing how your body changes. So all of this, after understanding this impermanence, then there's two things you should come to understand.
다 강인 람나 디그리 네게티브 람나 디그리 대직다다 포지티브 치 디제니 간 삼다나 디그레스로
So, you can think about it in terms of the difficulties or the problems, or and then positive. So you can think about it in terms of being difficulties and problems, or in talk about being positive and benefits.
다 당보디 빼나 로와 ngaranzo 카시에 단다 지ranzo 카시라 나자요 나로와 나자디 요르와 와고 융아망은 손에 데부탄다 총어와 시단다 네 요도 그래 나티 나 나자딘데 도 데마 데비치 단다 나자 요베이나 어다고 깨지 요도 그거 요도 요래서 진짜 상담다야 아니 데다 수수 겨왕함에 당서 겨왕함에 그 레기 데비직다 매버 차송 그러와 레기 데비 매버 차송 제단디 미다고 상담다나 요도 주다 젠라드네 요도 주다 젠스데 나랑 단다 동해다 강에 동해 나자도서 연 랭아망원도 사베 데브리 와 데브리 인자다 데브직 조송 랭에 데브직 조송 네 배하고 총송 와 다 단도 나거도나 네 레디 누버디 조요 말와 네 레디 누버 맞아서 동해디 용거다 근데 다 저다 요라고 면주 지야다 네 상단데 요러 탑시다 요르들레 근데 다 동해 용거야 되다 데브리 제산데 그 미다고 오고 깨지기 주어도 인자 가티네 동해 용제 돼야 된대 개요 말와
So the first is whenever you face difficulties or problems, sicknesses, anything like that, recognizing them as impermanent, recognizing that these things change and that they're the results of previous causes. So, if you're experiencing the negative results, it's a sickness and so forth, you see that it's constantly changing, that it's impermanent, that it's just the result of karma from a previous life. And then this karma is then exhausted, it's finished. And all of these changes come about due to causes and conditions. So, when you experience a difficulty or a problem or a suffering, you can see it as exhausting the results of your negative karma, that your karma's finished, right? And that you've experienced this result. And so when the result is suffering, then that result is finished. Like that cause is exhausted and you wouldn't have to experience it again in the future.
아니 디네다 되바 첨부 나랑도 되바 첨부 땅 초마 시베차데 마시베차다 되바 첨부 왔다 되바 시다 제 메제 통통디 나나 수수 직직지 저 이와 다 수수 누가당 아니 수수 고급사오라 오버지는데 요나 저거래다고 내가 있나 제 배샤이나 서가는 수수 배샤다는데 야고 요나 밀러고 제 저거라 그봐 아야 수수 그거 매워딜라 배배저 망부 제대나니 디 동에서 오더라 세상 인디다 개 말에 메제는 저거 지도래다 내가 다가서 디 되바디 총 제도비나 된데라 셈나라 강에도 총아 요래서
So the second thing you want to look at is reducing your desire. So if you recognize how life is short, how everything's impermanent, it gives a sort of power to your mind, And if you have this opportunity to work or do something that you need to do, and if you do it and it's successful and maybe you make money, that's good. And then you can use money to sort of help others, then it's beneficial. But not, you shouldn't have a lot of desire to the result. And also sometimes you might strive really hard to do something and it doesn't work out. You don't get what you want. But then also you should be okay with that, right? Not having this strong desire or not feeling really disappointed when things don't work out the way you want.
다들 촉시에서야 되다 백해지 뭐래로 촉시에서야 돼 되바 총아 촉시에서다 촉시에서야 돼 단다 투주 단달라서 간 예와데 야다 촉시에 제제 제나 아니 삼발 hö바다 삼발 기회용으로
So then this contentment is also important, like this contentment of having less attachment. If you can have this kind of contentment, then you'll be more relaxed and happy, and it's very beneficial.
촉시 연구면 누나나 아니 메제디 베디 로나시레스 밀랑 로당 세도 베베디 밀랑 로당 성도 로나시다 너도 메제세디 로나시레스와 축지지리 최단디나라 시비시비직 냐되고 민도다
So like it's important to have this contentment, and you also and it's important because this life is so short. Like the analogy here is like lightning. It's like a flash of lightning. It's gone that quickly. So you kind of, you're not hanging around for a long time.
Sometimes we thinking our life looks very long, and we think this animal instincts or instincts in the especially the beast some the one day life, one lost one day life the instance butterfly or some There's some those we see their life is very looks short, and they thought similar maybe 80 years, 50 years, the amount. And Buddha see our life is like that. Our looks, they see, other different. This shows just life very short, our lives. Just compare waiting all 50 years, 80 years, 60 years, so looks long. It's different. So there's a dejo shower. To said, there's a dejo.
Does it do?
또 지글 댐바 지글 뜨바 뜰 약보 두자를 뜨바
Oh, okay.
뜨서 뜨죠.
Right, so it's like everything changes. Everything's like up and down, right?
대주고 말해. up and down 말해.
Like does it I don't know, like this, like it's changing.
No, there's a bad income. No.
Oh, you mean like konzo di tawa di?
약볼라야 돼 두자를 되는 총으로 와. 링불라야 돼 통.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so things are dependent, right? Like our life is long and like it's a comparison, right? Our life is long compared to maybe an insect. But compared to, from Buddha's perspective, it's very short. So like this.
in the goram, bro. 하게 아니 주주 니지 미 롱업 응업주스 차도 거라. 하게 주주니 하게 주주니 2 hour 미 50 years 자고.
Yeah, so from a God's perspective, our life's very short. For them, 2 hours is like 50 of our years. So. For them, it's like it's 3 hours we're done.
The Asanga, Asanga did meditation in Maitreya 12 years. After that, he saw Maitreya, and then Maitreya take him. He's Puram. Just one morning in Puram, one morning teaching 2 hours, one morning teaching 2 hours, and he coming back. Our human life is 50 years gone. It looks a little bit of a funny story. This is a very famous story. And 저시시 다드네 니버데 대전 당보디시 대전 니버데 가르삼당 오라라나 당도 주버두고라 주버두어데 또 주어 약보직 당고라 주어 약보직 당할 당도 배전식으로다.
So if we want to, the second thing is if we want to change in a positive way, then we have to strive towards that.
다 주어 약보 가르 당고라라나 당도 굴론 상보체로 굴론데 배 약보직해 먼저 상모 검자고 여러 군론데 검접 아니 또다 디기 용사게 유드 가르스나 아니 지 참바당 세와당 서바당 진바당야당 수륜송야당 검자야당 아니 지 미게 여러 가지 라이프 밸류도 들어와 human value도 다 가르쳐 전부 이메 저 디졸라 여제단라 약쇼다 탑람도들의 군론 야고체야다 진바다야 주dun소야 소고야 닝제 찬 고야 참바꼼야 아두서 칼레 그러고 칼레 지제 배전 치도이나 아니 유와 야고도 그래서
So we need to, if we want to change in a positive direction, we need a positive motivation, and that's the main thing. But we have to sort of look at the qualities or the things that will generate happiness. Things like loving kindness, compassion, patience, so forth. And then we need to meditate on these. So meditate literally means to familiarize ourselves with these positive values, right? And we need this methods to develop these positive qualities, these attributes, and then put them into practice. So if we want to change, like develop compassion in these things, then we have to apply effort towards that.
어디다 야르제다야게 야고 주와야고다야게 탑람데 디제들이 와.
So this is a method to develop this positive change.
And sometimes I mentioned this morning, sometimes some people do long time do meditation, and others just prayer, and prayer, lots do the day of prayer, and then sometimes breathing meditation, and after that, and you can try to some uh, make some appreciate, appreciate what do you have at the moment. You need to appreciate, appreciate, and make yourself making happy or joy, and then you can check where's the happy mind, where's the joyful is feeling, feeling it is feeling, and sometimes just check, how's making me happy, or where's this happy feeling, not very between big gap, and then you check, brain have some happy feeling, no, if you're thinking brain, brain here thinking, no much connection, you're happy or joyful, because brain is form, right? Brain is form. This reason nothing give feeling for you. A feeling comes something here, Joe, sometimes warm or sometimes joy is something you look your body, where it come from, joyful, happy, or peace, or calm, or relax, like that. This was this was meaning. Where's the meaning? We know in the compassion's meaning. We know in love's meaning. We know joyful's meaning. No words, but where's this meaning? Compassion meanings here, not just in the words, in the words, and joyful, feeling joyful is here, not really sound, just come inside, thinking deeper. You really recognize, oh, happiness is something coming in here, not really outside. Then you're really looking inward. Usually we all the time chasing, I want to happy, I want to run, or maybe I want maybe exercise, maybe tramping, maybe go to music concerts and film festival, music festival. Oh, you go there, you spend money, you become tired after coming back. Go to making busy and spend money and ticket, how much ticket, pay lots of money. You go maybe watching movie, maybe movie makes me happy. Some people thought like that. If you go there 2 3 hours watching, after coming back, what do you have? Your mind has lots of thoughts coming, making extra thoughts. Lots. This is a present, present for you. Complaints and music complaints, like that. 재산, 디기 있어야 돼. 디기 있어야 돼. 삼로단단적 용어도. 디기 있어야 돼. 삼로단단적 용거르면서 용어도 없다. 많잖아.
So most of all, like happiness is a mental state. Like obviously it's a mental state, but it's a way of thinking. It's a kind of mental attitude. Maybe this is the main thing that brings about happiness.
어디지? 나한테 다디 미다고 삼로단이 교도에란 신 삼단이 또 교와 야구 단단들로 어두 삼로단 삼로단한테는 야구 요래서 방언도 다 메지나로.
So when we think about impermanence, it's change, like change, but we want to change in a positive direction. So we need to work to change, like in a positive way.
다디네 니와데 언저 투즈디 셰나로 다디 지난 미다고단 투즈 되어요냐 투즈디 비하고 곰잘 빼하고 투즈디로 투디.
So it's very good to think about time then.
다 투즈기 신이디 데스 가고요. 다 기생은 라블로티 도토요 말이네. 칼레글라고로 하면은 되어지시로.
So, we're going to talk about the definition of time. So we're going to go through it slowly, but if you have any queries or doubts, please speak up.
다 투즈라디라 지단 투즈기 신이 샤단 낭바스소 디스 메다요래로. 당에 차단 남나 지난서 보통로라다 지단게 샤야들라 자외간에 샤 자와 체시 대화와 다 투즈셔야 돼다 그 자와 치신 대외 뒤져와 자와 치신 바 다다와 자와 지줄 마음 봤어 다 뒤져들라 마음 봐 다다와 대와 세워라 뒤채운데 다디 자외거네 자와 위시 그 뒤져 독도 지 뒤져들이서 참사지 뒤져 그런 그 데피니션 독도 딘데지 레스잖아요 누구도야 싫어요 맞다 마 여신의 대외 뒤져들이서 다다와 뒤져들이서 마음과 뒤져들이서 뒤져스니 딘데지랑 뭐지
Okay, so when we talk about time, it's very difficult to pin down exactly and say this is what time is, but we can say that time is
자와찍을 맞아나나 셰도고 말이네.
right. So it has three like aspects. So the aspect of past, present, and future. Maybe aspect. I mean, you could say division, but that's is not quite division.
Division the marriage.
No, like part. It's more like a part. It has three parts. That's probably the easiest, right? So it has the three of past, present, and future. Without any of those three, you can't say time can't exist. So did that get? So the past is the part that has already been completed. The present is the part that's being active now, and then the future is what is becoming, like the part that will be becoming.
자월라데 그래. 자월라데 책 인지시 그래. 액티브 그래. 제가 자월라. 디 차베 유로와. 유로와. 니 셰바디 유진로와. 자월라데 고 디치기도 포바디
I see. 자와. Okay, all right. If you wanted to, okay, so it's more like in this case. So maybe it's the engagement, the object of like the thing engaged with.
Like example shower.
Yeah.
Example shajina.
Okay.
Example shajina. Nga tanda taran shobe nga komjadi keje she simbarwa taran shobe.
Right.
She simba keje shewa keje she simba.
Spoke. Yeah.
Ta tanda nga keje she simbarwa tanda nga keje she simba. Ta tonde konda keje de nga keje she yurwa. Odusre ta de dus ta yevadi ta di tagdar ta di akshure.
Okay. Yeah. So it's an activity. It's the three activities maybe of past, present, and future. Chawa. Yeah, activities maybe. It's so basically when we talk about time, we talk about the past and saying this morning I was speaking, to now the present I am speaking, and in the future I will speak. So maybe it's three different activities, you could say.
Da do samdanara. Do samdan. Da di shebnaji da tanda taran di pobadilla taran shobeg poba tadawe poba 동원다 poba sumyoro. Da ngobu samjela di yorda.
So yeah, with all phenomena that you can have the cup, you had the previous cup, you have the present cup, and you have the future cup. So
adina shi ngala yoro nga susu ngala desimbe taran shobe nga tadawe nga 동원다 mongbe nga sio.
So same with like me, the person I have previous self, current self, and future self as well.
Adela gom jabde ne o da di dev savres ro di dev savres tu da tu di dev savres ro deva di sa savres ro da di dishe jawzam chik di hago na yago thanda di hago na devla di ta sa sa chu yang ya ya min ro konso di yo yo ma ta pa de chanjo di chu yang ya yo ma ro da thanda jawa chi심 ba ge she 심 ba da na re 근데 더군도 단다 용유래로 저단다 다 뒤에 마마마마 타르타르타르로나 자월을 올리지 자르도 패지 다다와디 샤시야 면조로 저다 마 룩스 락바라와질라나 쇼베 콘다 계산으로 마로다 다드네 다다 자와 치신바 딜 삼디도 코라 게지 지그로고요 뭐버디 게지 지그로고요 아니 다 직심바디 샤고 직심바디 그러 포바 다다와디 포바 직심바디레면서 야면나 다디 견자르 되서도 저 샤도디 마마마마 띵 사무도나 주주 다다와디 산살라 대발을 두고 입에서 그래 상상을 마음을 두고 위해서래 닝데 다다와 니 가고요.
So, if we think about the past, right? The past is done. It's finished and been. And it won't come again. You know, there's no way that the past can come again, right? And then the present is what activity we're engaging in now. That's what we're doing now. And of course, the future's not yet come. But I mean, it's easy to sort of say, oh, past, present, future, this morning, you know, now, and then later this evening. It's easy to say in these terms. So when you actually look at, well, what is the present? It's actually very hard to pin down. Like, you know, you can't actually pin down this present moment because by the time you even look for it, it's already gone, right? It's not possible to kind of find, or it's very difficult to find this present and actually. So in terms of talking about it, we can do it, but when you actually try and find it, very hard.
아주 이 투디 삼단을 빼야고요. 투디 양제 삼단 도이나. 투단 미다고 거면라 탑시야슈 투디로 와. 그냥 그 추주를 따대. 등산 추주 탁탁탁탁탁탁 스토더. 디다다데네 너네다 코천 대거 말하고 너도와 대대고 라라 탁탁탁탁 이 추주의 제가만 제디 밀리드 도다 탁탁 코제 대음다. 아니 단다 디지털 그디나 그 제기 숨시 구영아 도된 거 그저 참 도다라 그천 대음다 간다.
Yeah.
그래서 대디 미다바 탐모도야라 투주가나 공격이나 야고요래서.
So this thinking about time, meditating on time is very good for understanding impermanence. You know, if we just look at a clock, you know, we can see that the second hand's constantly moving. It's constantly changing. You know, clocks don't stand still unless they're broken, right? But if they're functioning, then they don't. They're constantly moving. And digital clocks are the same. You can see the seconds ticking, 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 ticking. So if you think about this, if you really understand this, and then it's very helpful for understanding subtle impermanence.
One time at Sarah, we had this impermanent topic teaching, and when some student asked our teacher, and what is the permanence? Example, you know, looks, this is not really permanent. We see just solid there. And he has wooden cup.
Yeah,
wooden cup, drink tea, and he said, put that on tea, we put tea, and he cup has a hole, you know, and he some stick out, and the tea coming we falling, and he said, love is this tea, you know, and all the time this is never stopping, you know. Never stopping, you know,
leaking away.
Our continuous tea come out. He said, "This is our life now, continues." And the tea finish. He said, "Now death." Really, this is a really a good example, you know. Sometimes, is there sometimes. Send some up and down something, you know, how many something sometimes the jigdo chama the score japsha do
like hourglass.
Yeah, then they go the
sand yeah, hourglass.
Yeah, this is continuous gone, you know.
Like sands through the hourglass. Yeah, you get reborn and you do it again.
And then you are new
up, down.
Yeah. And today and tomorrow like that, you know. Oh, 제가 믿어와라 the 주주가는 삼단을 아니 대버 주용해야 민도 와라 대버도 차차도 와라 디 심나라게 뭐 정부이나 단단 나는 저게 내 뒤에라고 당한다 먼저 셈나라 망고 아 계산 미팅 알아 지지지 랍서 든다가마 지지지 랍서 로 엄마가 가시 로망고 내게 내지 중요한데 sem나 되거더라. 당연히는 대차라라. 사차라. 이네도 스스싱 신데르데. 스스스스라. 스스스스 마지부 소라다데. 하고래. 대바 디세버야 오차나 딜펜더요.
So, you know, as we said, the present, you can't really find the present, you know, when you try and look for it. When we talk about the past, as we said, the past is done. But we tend to hold on to it, even though it's finished. We don't let it go. We grasp very strongly to it. And so we kind of carry it with us. We bring this past into our present experience because we can't let go. We hold on to it.
다디 냠내로 수수 니마님의 소응어 간라 네 삼단단 치두나 베편도 첨부요래서 소응어가.
So if you can understand this and bring this kind of thing into practice where you can let go, it's your own responsibility to deal with the past. If you can put that into practice, it's very beneficial in your daily life.
그래서 간데스이다 기고래 라진지. 먼저 검자스 사무도 따되느라 단당아 가르친도 따나 대회내지 팅도나 다들 세고하고 대사로 같이 있는 게 상당 거래가.
So, how do we actually how do we meditate on this? So, when we meditate on this, you just basically look at what you're thinking. And if you see your mind going towards the past, then you think, well, why? Check, why am I thinking of the past? Really try and understand that.
다디네 단도 삼로 두 스타는 와다 삼로 다는 다 베나 롱아도 지금 미지기 말이야. 그 빼도자도로 그 빼도자도 라비나 이동아 건드사 그러다 그 찍기 미들로 건드사 가지는 미딩을 도자도 라라 미들로 건드사 가디나 미디어고 요마레 슬그라다 나 수수 마가나 미디어 요마르 라그라 아니 미디어 삼로 다운데 세미나를 마지버로 제 대교였다디 정말 찍 중으로 왔다 정말 찍 미디어 알로 찍 두자체 들어간다 찍 두자 라 이나데 슈베 이나레 찍 정말 찍고 자와디다 가서 포도 도라 뇌로 말로 계지 당보팅 알로 뇌브레다 디 다라레다 가서 디 다라레로
So concept teaching 난좀 만포 삼로다.
당보디 미딩 알로 뇌브레스 당보디 디 세부 신고레스 당보 디 뇌버디 제베 준지진 미들 거그멘도 와서 로 미들 거그멘도 준제 가서는 미딩 알로 뇌스로
와. Okay.
디 신고로 당보.
Okay, so the first thing we have to understand is, if we're upset with somebody, maybe we had something bad happen and we're angry with the person, and we can hold on to this for a long time, like for years, 5-10 years. But we've got to understand why we did it. Like, why do we hold on to these things, or why? Well, the first thing is because we've got this idea we don't like this person. And why is that? Well, because, we don't like them because they did something to make us not happy. So they did something to harm us. But it may have only been one action or one thing that they did. But, in our minds, because of that, we don't like them, or we think, we think they're not, we dislike this.
미디기 팅마 찍람네 딜라 가그메나로 팅마 찍날 뇌버제네 나 미딜라 가그메나 다 디네마 시제 로주디 차장데 수수신데로 강원에서는 수수 가요 맞다 소녀 상마 수수를 신데뇨 미딩아데 라블라블라 심나라 신데니데 수수신데로 메시지게 미디 찍자는 미디 동안 사이로 미디 시사이로.
So even like maybe they did something to harm us, and because of that we don't like them, but this could happen years ago and we still hold on to it. We can hold on to something like that for 10 years. Even the person we don't know where they are, maybe they're even dead, gone, we're still holding on to that one thing that they did years ago, and going over it again and again and again. So then it's on us, right? We're making this unhappiness, we're making this agitation. So when you think about the past, think about it, well, this past is gone. So ask the question, why am I still holding on to these things?
먼저 가두이네 다다워간라 대두버 저거로 다다워간 다다워 자워치심 깨지 시심 그런데는 암조 년심 봐봐 칼라서게는 칼라서심 추이네 추 통심 봐 자워치심 봐디 먼저 디간라다 베디 포커스 때 디간라다 맨푸네서 오네디 디간라 샤고레스로 샤나 안에 가려있는 누버침 뭐 차용으로
Much better if we can let go of these things and keep our mind in the present. So if we're listening, just listen. If we're eating, eat. If we're drinking, just drink in the present. If we're cooking, whatever work we're doing, be present with it. This is, if we can let go of the past and do this, it's much better for our mind.
And the nether Maumbe Nizu Chuna, Nini Chunas Mago, some land and Tadia, Nimago, which had some simulation. This and a day, this Mika said, oh, this and a day, this and a day, this and a day, and what is in a surgery. Did one nation, data, so singles on your to cheat your work and Namdo.
So, now when we think about, sometimes we'll get caught up in the future, right, and worry about what could happen or what might happen to the point where we can't even sleep. Our mind's so full of this tension, this worry, it really disturbs us to the point we can't even sleep.
Ordinary, Chazam Mida was said that some of them be enough. To do on some of them be enough. And it sounds like Chuzu Latana, the Gro, and it sounds like the Chalaz order. I don't know, I'll tip you what in the youth and tip to Zulati Tanaya, would tip it on the Salvador. The Tambo Savana, somewhat a big shiny sugar that she done do. Tell Lokajilani, they should go to the past Edudara. Zodo, but indeed.
So when you think about impermanence in time, it's very good. And sometimes you can just look at a clock and meditate on that. Other times you can think about your stuff. Like, I have some old books that are, and sometimes I think about that. Like, for example, this book here is quite new, so it looks very shiny and the paper's all good. But after a few years, especially if it's being read a lot, then it starts to fade and the paper starts to change. So everything changes with this time, gets older.
other than that, the single Lomadas Masado and single long jab the single Dakoda, this is Tamata, Kejiki Yodo, Anzalata, Dagudango, example thing you sometimes,
So,
yeah, we are rest.
So also, as the seasons change, obviously leaves fall off the trees, and when you hear, and more immediately when you hear the wind going through the trees, the sound, you can see that everything's constantly changing. So it's good to think about the environment and how it's constantly changing.
Well, the two delay, two taro, that two mangora logic, daojic, dudajic, nimajic, chuzujic, nikamajic, againjic, and dinala chizumama. Did you some 2G namsharo?
Right. So, obviously, time goes in first years, then months, then days, hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds, and so forth, right? But you can break it down into smaller parts of time.
Oh, they two the mama and today gauging myself. Gauging treasure the Koran David two jiction batana. Round to be 2 year lamsanji. Those that you were dead. Kandoina how do so great those things are around the lagi already. Zumbling Chesala Shashan, Zumbling the court, Kabushuk Jagora, the Zumbling Deva or the Codinala speed huge Rodeg Yorva, Nanzu Sola Simla, onto the Takbush la Dede or the Yomar, huge Rodego, Tuzun on the shoe, Rodegora.
So, and when you break it down into more moments, which is one of the smallest, one of the, maybe we can't say the smallest, but a very small moment of time, right? And at this level, things are still changing and moving, but we don't really see that. It's not really obvious. Like, for example, the world is rotating at hundreds of kilometers an hour and actually traveling through space at even faster, right? But we don't see that. We think everything's just being perfectly still. But in reality, we're moving. The planet's moving very fast.
Then two gonna some do chesane mama some tanwa chudu kama ne this saying those mama yochena 감담질래요 지지세디 라베르치 다디 동이 간다 삼다나야고 당모 미다고라 삼노다로 교도 미다고디 삼노야고 코 미다고디야고 신스나 아니 제일 동만이 통달라 삼노 떼네 중에가라 삼노단투이나 아니 야고요레스 that
So when you think about time, it could be very helpful to think about emptiness, So you think about emptiness is dependent arising. So, on this basis that everything it's coming out causes and conditions and constantly changing. So this understanding time is very helpful for understanding these other things. So, you know, an example would be that things exist independent on one another. Topadosha is like exists relative to one another, I guess you could say. So, you know, present only exists because of past and future, right? If there's no past and no future, then you couldn't have present, right? And vice versa, past is dependent on present and future and so forth. So this mutual kind of existence, relative existence.
The English the to good or
9 times?
9 times different pass. Are really? Pass past future and past perfect.
Oh, you're talking about grammar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Past perfect and past continuous. Yeah.
No, present continuous. Past perfect.
Yeah, this English. English, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. No, there's.
Huh?
So there's present simple, present continuous, past perfect. Oh God,
no, past perfect, past continuous. Yeah.
12, isn't it?
Yes.
I never learned this.
Yes, this English grammar present in 9, 12 is different. 12, then 9 is formal. We have integrated 9. 9. Huh?
Oh, that's easy.
No, this English said 9. Chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I should have learned Czech.
In Tibetan language and culture, just 3 past, future, present. But in Buddhism text, they have 9. Yeah, 9. Exactly similar this English. Lots in Tibetan people said, oh, we don't have this 9 different tense, you know. And because past language they already they made this non-different, but we lost this culture, you know, lost text, lost, you know, this is some part lost, you know, karma rule lost some part. And then I learned the Buddhist in Abhidhamma Kosha. They had 9 different types, 10. I learned it, yeah. And I come here learning this English and
12.
This is it. David Mangwa.
This is right. Okay. Well, that's simple. There's past, present, past, future, right? Like this.
No, they're not like that. There is special name, isn't it?
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
No, Tibetan. English not like this. English is like past perfect.
Past.
I know there's present
continuous.
simple, present continuous. Future perfect.
Past continuous, past perfect. Yeah. Yes, yeah, continuous.
And then you have that for past, present, and future, dude.
Yeah, then every tense has like
4, yes. Tense.
God, so.
Yeah.
I know what present simple, present continuous. What's present perfect?
Like have been eyeing.
Huh?
Like I have been doing.
Yeah, not finished.
No, that's past.
No.
I have been doing.
Yeah, I have.
That's present perfect.
Continuous perfect.
Yes.
Present continuous perfect.
Yes.
I have been doing this.
Forgot. No, just forgot. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need an English lesson, really.
I think it's a little bit funny, isn't it? Second language people know, you don't know. You.
No, you just talk. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah. That is. Chuzu said, Gomja subject aware. Very good.
Yes, it's a good.
Meditation subject. Or time is very good for meditation subject. Now we maybe 10 minutes drinking tea time. Maybe Puja, Puja was it? Yeah, Puja perfect. Okay. No, we stop here now. Stop.
We stop here.
Present continues. Shen la mi ne wa yi du gu nan da shen la je ba sho. Re ne min de la kam ni ya da ya mi.